It turns out that there is another way around, which is pretty much easy and faster to use to decompose complex fraction into simpler fractions. We call this method, we call this concept cover up method. So how does this work? Let's analyze it with some examples. Consider this fraction 6 divided by x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 3. If that's all we wanted to use the normal process, what we're going to do is to take two different letters, either A or B, and divide them by individual denominators as they changes respectively. But we won't do that in this case. We do something different. We are to cover a particular term in the denominator by setting it to be equal to 0. So what am I saying makes sense? Assume I'm willing to cover this up. First, I will set it to be equal to 0 and determine the value of x at that point. So x is equal to negative 3. Now I can cover it up. So what I will do now is to plug in that minus 3 I got for x in the next thing, or whatever I'm left over with. So right now I'm left over with 6 divided by x minus 3. Now x is minus 3, that's 6 divided by minus 3 minus 3. That's 6 divided by minus 6, which is minus 1. Keep this in mind or jot it somewhere else. Repeat this process for the other part. So let's rewrite that 6 divided by x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 3. Now we are willing to cover this up. So we need to set it to be equal to 0 and determine the value of x at that point. So x will be equal to 3. So now I can cover it up. What am I left over with? It turns out that we are left over with 6 divided by x plus 3. Since x is equal to 3, so I'm having 6 divided by 3 plus 3, which will eventually be 6 divided by 6. And lastly, that will result in 1. I haven't gotten all this. After you have covered all the denominators, one after the other, then just keep in mind that this fraction will be split into the first one, which is minus 1, divided by what you covered. You covered x plus 3. Then plus the second one, 1, or whatever you got, divided by what you covered, x minus 3. And this is your final answer. You can see we are able to get our answer in no time. And this is what we call the cover-up method. Let's consider more examples so you can master the process. Number 2. Consider x divided by 2 plus x multiplied by 2 minus x. How can we decompose this fraction into smaller fractions using the cover-up method? So let's cover up this first part. So we need to set it to be equal to 0. And if we set that to be equal to 0, bringing 2 to this side, we can clearly have x to be equal to negative 2. So now we can cover it up. So therefore, we will be left over with x divided by 2 minus x. Now if we plug in that negative 2, then we can clearly have negative 2 divided by 2 minus negative 2. And eventually we have negative 2 divided by 2 plus 2. And that should be negative 2 divided by 4, which eventually results in minus 1 over 2. Perfect. Now we need to repeat the process for the other part. You will continue this until you have repeated for each and every part of the denominators. So we have x divided by 2 plus x multiplied by 2 minus x. So now we will cover up this. So to cover it, let's set it to be equal to 0 first. And eventually x will be equal to 2. So now we can cover it. So left over is x divided by 2 plus x. Since that x is equal to 2, we can replace x with 2 and have 2 over 4. And eventually reducing that, we have 1 over 2. So we get 1 over 2 and negative 1 over 2. So therefore, the decomposition of this complex fraction x divided by 2 plus x multiplied by 2 minus x will simply be equal to the first one, which is negative 1/2, divided by what you covered. That's 2 plus x. Then plus the second one, negative 1 half, sorry, positive 1 half, divided by what you covered, 2 minus x. And you can try to bring all this to the down, okay, and have negative 1 over 2 multiplied by 2 plus x, then plus 1 over 2 multiplied by 2 minus x as our final answer. And that is the final solution to this problem as well. You can see how easy that is. Example 3. Consider x minus 1 all divided by 3x squared minus 11x plus 10. How can we decompose this fraction into some other smaller fractions? First, you need to make sure that the denominator is completely factorized. If it's not factorizable, then we are using another method, because in this case we'll be having a complex fraction with quadratic factors. But this is factorizable, so let's factorize it. Now, what two numbers multiply to 3 times 10, which is 30, and add up to negative 11? That's simply negative 5 and negative 6. The product of this results in 30, and their sum results in 11. Perfect. Minus 11. The sum results in minus 11. So we can get rid of that. So now we can have x minus 1 all divided by 3x squared. So we can replace the middle term with each of those numbers we got. That's minus 6x minus 5x plus 10. Now we can take the common factors. Let's group them in the first place. So now we can have x minus 1 all divided by, what is common right here? It's simply 3x. Bringing 3x out, we are left over with x minus 2. And on this side, we can take negative 5. Negative by our side, left over with x minus 2. So taking the GCF, we can combine that and have x minus 1 to be dividing 3x minus 5 and x minus 2. Now we have it to be completely factorized. We can now cover each term respectively. So let me try to bring this up. Perfect. So now let's cover up the first one, which is this. To cover it up, we need to set it to be equal to 0. And so for x. So if we add x to both sides or bring this to the side, we can clearly say that 3x will be equals to 5. And dividing 3 by 3, x will eventually be 5 over 3. So now we have everything we need. So therefore, we can cover this part. Covering it, we are left over with x minus 1 all divided by x minus 2. And plugging in what we have as 5 over 3 for x, we have 5 over 3 minus 1 all divided by 5 over 3 minus 2. If we simplify this, for the first part, we can have that to be 2 over 3. And for the second part, we can have that to be 1 all divided by 3. It would simply be negative 1. And using the concept of keep change and flip, 2 over 3 will be multiplying 3 over negative 1. And cutting this out, we are left over with negative 2. So that is negative 2. Now what about the second part? So let's write the function. X minus 1 all divided by 3x minus 5 and multiplied by x minus 2. So now we want to cover this up. So therefore x minus 2 will be equal to 0 and x will be equal to 2. So covering it, we are left over with this. We are left over with x minus 1 all divided by 3x minus 5. And that will be equals to plugging in the value of 2, 2 minus 1 all divided by 3 times 2 minus 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 1 minus 5, right? And that will be 1 over 1, which is simply 1. So finally, the decomposition of x minus 1 all divided by 3x minus 5 multiplied by x minus 2 will simply be the first term, which is minus 2, all divided by what you covered, which is 3x minus 5. Then plus the second part, the second answer, divided by what you covered, x minus 2. And this is our final answer. You can see that this is pretty much straightforward. Let's consider one more example for easy understanding. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're enjoying the video, give the video a thumbs up, as that will let YouTube know that the video is liked so you can recommend it to many audience out there. Feel free to pause the video and check this question out yourself. 3x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 2, then multiplied by x plus 1, then multiplied by x minus 3. Decompose this fraction using the cover-up method. So first, let's cover the first part, which is x plus 2. To do that, we need to set x plus 2 to be equal to 0 and determine the value of x at that point. So now we can cover it up. Left over is 3x, I've written equal to already, plus 1, all divided by x plus 1 and x minus 3. So plugging in negative 2, I have 3 multiplied by negative 2 plus 1, all divided by negative 2 plus 1, then multiplied by negative 2, negative 5. And this will eventually be negative 6 plus 1, that's negative 5, all divided by negative 2, negative 3. This is negative 3. So negative 2, negative 3 is negative 5. And negative 2, negative positive 1 is negative 1, negative 5. If we multiply that, that should be 5. Perfect. So I'm dividing that by 5. So the final result should be negative 1. Perfect. Now, let's do it for the other part. So let's write that 3x plus 1 all divided by x plus 2, x plus 1, x minus 3. So let's cover the middle term. Let's set this to be equal to 0. So x will be equal to negative 1. Doing that, we'll be left over with 3x plus 1 all divided by x plus 2, then x minus 3. And if we plug in that negative 1, we have 3 multiplied by negative 1 plus 1 all divided by negative 1 plus 2 multiplied by negative 1, negative 3. And that will be 3 multiplied by negative 1 is negative 3 plus 1, that's negative 2. Divided by negative 1, positive 1, 2, that's positive 1 times negative 4. So that will be indeed equals to negative 4. That will be 1 over 2. Now, the last part. So we have, okay, I haven't covered this up. Let me cover it up. Perfect. So we have 3x plus 1 all divided by x plus 2, then x plus 1, x minus 3. So if we set x minus 3 equals 0, x will eventually be equal to 3. And left over, if we cover it up, we can see that we'll be left over with 3x plus 1 all divided by x plus 2, then x plus 1. And if we plug in 3, we have 3 times 3 plus 1 all divided by 3 plus 2 multiplied by 3 plus 1. And if we simplify that, we can say that it will be 10, because this will be 9 plus 1, that's 10, all divided by 3 plus 2 is 5, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, so that's 10 over 20. 10 over 20 can be reduced to 1 over 2. So this are the corresponding answers. So now we can write the decomposition. So let me get rid of this in order to have enough space. So decomposition finally will be 3x plus 1 all divided by x plus 2, x plus 1, x minus 3 will be equal to the first part, which is negative 1 divided by what we covered, that's x plus 2, plus the other one, which is 1 over 2, divided by what we covered, that's x plus 1. Then the third one, that's 1 over 2 as well, divided by what we covered, that's x minus 3. And this is our final answer. However, we can bring those twos all the way down. And that will be negative 1 over x plus 2, then plus 1 divided by 2x plus 1, then plus 1 divided by 2x minus 3. And that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye for now. If you haven't subscribed, do what to subscribe. Thank you.